Electrocast.
Why wait to see if you'll get something you like this Valentine's Day when you can go to BlueNile.com and find something you'll love? Whether you're looking to treat yourself to a little winter sparkle or show a galentine how much you appreciate them, Blue Nile offers a wide selection of high-quality designs, expert guidance, and free 30-day returns for the ultimate peace of mind. You can even design your own jewelry. Right now, save up to 50% at BlueNile.com. That's BlueNile.com.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Whether you're selling a little or a lot, Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. From the launch your online shop stage, all the way to the we just hit 1 million orders stage. No matter what stage you're in, Shopify's there to help you grow. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/special offer, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/special offer.
So to Missing the Point, it's hour number 2 of our monthly Sunday night sports wrap. In hour number 2, with the NBA tipping off this week, we give our official previews of what we expect to happen in the NBA in 2021. Will it be another title for the Lakers? Will Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving own the East? Will the Celtics finally get over the hump and make it back to the NBA Finals? Stay tuned to hear our thoughts. But first, some housekeeping. Missing the Point is a 1-hour podcast recapping the biggest stories in the world of sports with a New England flavor. The show notes and transcript from today's episode can be found in the description box below, as well as on our website, www.mtpshow.com. If you're new to the show, please consider subscribing. It's the easiest way to see when we publish new episodes. We are on iTunes, Spotify, Google, and wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to rate us and leave a review of any of our shows. We always appreciate your feedback. Let us know how we're doing and how we can sound better. Also, be sure to follow us on all of our social medias. All of our links will be in the show notes. And check out our brand new website, www.mtpshow.com. That's mtpshow.com. And now, this is Missing the Point. But it's all relative.
Moving on. So into transition here. I did mention at the start of the show that we had a lovely guest come on from Celtics Nation, Abby Chin, the pre and post game host on NBC Sports. She was great. Ray and Mike, I had you guys on. All three of us came over and interviewed Abby. I thought she was wonderful. She was so nice to give us her time, and she had a lot of very interesting things to say, namely about one Kyrie Irving, which I think we all thought was quite interesting to get some insight into that, because it's, as Joe oft claims, Kyrie is not his favorite player, and I think Joe enjoyed that interview for that reason. And Craig, I think we have a little teaser clip of the Abby interview to play for the folks at home. You got that queued up? Here we go.
You had mentioned before that you came in here with the new guard, right? And so you've been here since that 25 win season, all the way through a couple of Eastern Conference final runs. You've been here through IT and through the guy that I want to mention now, Kyrie Irving, who has made some headlines recently about how he feels about people like us, more in particular you in the media, and how we will not deal with them because they're pawns. What was your experience like with Kyrie, and how do these comments really make you feel?
He clarified those comments, saying that he wasn't specifically speaking about media, but I don't know if we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt there. What I remember about Kyrie is he came in on that first press conference day and was gregarious and so excited to be there. And I remember Scal and Kyle and Mike all introducing themselves. He's like, I know you guys, I've been watching you. He was great and seemed really excited to be there, and, really had the charm on. And then just slowly over those next 2 years, it just kind of fell away. Yeah. I luckily was on my second maternity leave with Silas, that press conference after the shoot around in New York, where he said, I don't know anybody, anything. And I feel like that's really where the tides turned. And then I remember I told the story on air the other day. We had there was a practice right before their first postseason series in that last season he was here. And I asked him, what do you take away from those 82 games? Because they were all over the place that season and had really low lows and some really high highs where they looked amazing, like they did in that first round series against the Pacers. But
yeah, we loved having Abby on. A lot of great insight into the Kyrie Irving Celtics, the Isaiah Thomas Celtics. That interview is going to go live Tuesday, December 22nd. So right on our feed, wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, all the different podcast places. You can listen to us talk to Abby. She was fantastic. So thanks. Shout out to Abby for that. A little bit more housekeeping. Craig, have you done your Christmas shopping yet? I know we love asking ourselves this.
I have. I'm not sure if Joe has yet. I know we were just talking to him last night. He hasn't started yet.
I played babysitter yesterday while my wife went out and did some of it. So that was a help.
Well, Joe, you have kids, and we have a wonderful sponsor that supplies a great crafts project for kids, and that's Boxo Crafts.
Wow. Craig, tell me about them. Sorry, Dave, I totally stepped on.
So Boxo Crafts is great. They send you like a little package of different craft supplies that
they've only got three left.
They've only got three holiday boxes left. So if you want to get your kids a craft box that is fun for the whole family, like Bobby said, you better hurry. Don't walk, run to the Boxo Crafts website and enter code MTP for 15% off your order. Boxo Crafts is a parent-owned company. They're super sustainable. Everything they use is from recycled material. They're a great bunch of people that own it, and the kids are going to love it. And it's a great thing to do to distract them, or if you want to participate with them, whatever you want to do. So Boxo Crafts, go get that. So moving on to the second part of the show, we're going to switch gears from the NFL, which obviously we all care about quite a bit, as if, thankfully we do this podcast on Zoom so that like Bobby didn't punch me in the face in the last but at least we get along great during the NBA season, right, Bob? No. So here we are moving on, just like we reviewed our NFL predictions. We're now moving on to making our NBA predictions, because it snuck up on me, you guys, but the NBA season is right upon us. The preseason games have been happening. I know you can't glean a lot from that, but we got to figure out what's going to go on in this NBA season. So it's the same teams. The teams are already adversarial. We need them to keep fighting, but I've given myself a reprieve. I'm not going to be on a team. Craig's not going to be on a team. It's going to be 2 versus 2, and I'm just going to host this prediction show. It's the West versus the East. The reigning prediction game champions, the AFC team, are we're not quite yet. We're not naming them a winner yet. Anything can happen, but it's looking like the reigning champions, the AFC team, will have the Western Conference, and the NFC team, and a chance to redeem themselves potentially again, not 100% on. Will have the East, where the Boston Celtics reside. We thought it was only fair, since Joe and Ray had the Patriots, Bobby and Mike now get the Celtics. So I'm going to start off with the Western Conference. We're going to go through your 15th ranked to your 12th ranked team. I want Ray and Joe to tell me why the stinkiest stinkers in the Western Conference are going to stink as bad as they do. So go ahead, guys, take it away.
So Rayshawn, I've been looking at our 1 through 15 here that we put together, and it's very interesting now that I've really had some time to put it together. And the more I look at it, the more I love it. And I'm gonna let you take the 4 teams here on the bottom. But it's very interesting how they're going to move around after a very strange 2019-2020 season. So, Ray, who do we have at the bottom, and why? Because I agree 100%.
Right, so before we get into it, like we're definitely getting one of these teams wrong for sure. It's going to happen. Let's just put that out there, right? As a preface, right? Yeah, that's the spirit, right? But the 4 teams that we have from 12 to 15. So at 15 is Oklahoma City. At 14, it is the Minnesota Timberwolves. At 13, the Sacramento Kings, and then at 12, the San Antonio Spurs. Now, the Thunder made a lot of moves in the offseason. So for those that are listening, at this moment, Oklahoma City has more trade exceptions than they do talent. That's just how I see it. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who they got in the Paul George trade, was really good for them last year. He played well with Chris Paul, but they traded Chris Paul to Phoenix. They traded away Steven Adams. They traded away Dennis Schroeder. So they do bring back Al Horford, but Al Horford's older than everybody on this show and my mother and my grandmother. So I'm just not sure what he can do.
Wow. Your grandma and mom are very young, really aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, right. You know, so it's just like, it's amazing to me how people think he's going to do well over there, but so that's why we have them at 15. And then, you know, Minnesota, I mean, they've always sucked. I mean, we know this, Joe, like, you know, they haven't been good since the Kevin Garnett era. You know, they've had some decent players come through there. I mean, I do like Anthony Edwards. I like that selection. But I just think that they, you know, they're just young. So and they never perform well. So until they give us reason to think so, they're just going to be, you know, bottom feeders of the West. And then up at 13 with Sacramento, they got the guy that I was telling you guys about. And I told you guys about on the NBA preview show that we did, or draft review. I love Halliburton. I think Halliburton's going to be great. I don't agree with them comparing him to Magic. I don't know where that came from, even though Magic says something, but I'm like, Magic, just worry about the Lakers. I don't worry about anybody else and giving predictions like you were a great player, but you weren't that great of a GM or evaluator of talent. Just chill out. That's just my take on it. But Halliburton's going to be good. De'Aaron Fox just got a max deal in the offseason, signing for $195 million, which to me was crazy. But then again, no one wants to go to Sacramento, so you know they have to sign those type of guys. But I think that he's going to be someone that's going to be okay. But at the same time, in a 72-game season, they may win 27, 28 games, maybe. And then
it's weird, right? Because I feel like we were hype on the Kings off seasons the past few seasons, and it doesn't seem like it has really paid dividends. Do you think that we're still waiting on those moves to come to fruition, or do you just think that they were the wrong moves?
I think it's a little bit of both, right? So I mean, you know, when you sign Harrison Barnes to $90-something million. Now, granted, I think a lot of people have been waiting for him to be that guy. You know, he was a number 7 pick in 2012, and you know, he went to the school that I love. You know, he was a Tar Heel. He was a Tar Heel, so you know, he was good at UNC, but you know, he hasn't really panned out. He did okay in Golden State. Obviously, he won the championship there in the 2014-2015 season. But then rightfully so, his ass got replaced by Kevin Durant, as he should have, because Kevin Durant's much better than.
And anybody can really get on the bus in Golden State and go win a championship.
Right, yeah, exactly. So we won't get into that right now. Right, but right, exactly. Yeah, no, that's like, hey, you know, that's true. I got you.
Looks to me like Bobby has something to say about that. Go ahead, Bob.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just think the biggest thing with the Sacramento team, if De'Aaron Fox can take that next step up and Marvin Bagley can stay healthy, they do have a shot, I think, to sneak into the playoffs. That's just my opinion. I really like De'Aaron Fox, and I think Buddy Hield, I know he's underperformed since he came out of Oklahoma, but I do feel like Buddy Hield does have another level to go to, and I just hope Fox can get that out of him.
But that's
I do like Halliburton, though. I agree with you.
That's on Luke Walton, though, right? Because we talk about coaching. Him and Luke Walton had a bit of a rift last season, and that's why he ended up being on the bench, right? So, Buddy can say all the stuff he wants to say in the media. I don't think he could stand Luke Walton. I mean, it is what it is. But you got the contract last year, big fella. Everyone was saying that you were better than Jaylen Brown, the other guys that came out of the 2016 draft. You got to get yourself together, man, and just play. So we'll see. But then for team number 12, though, we had the San Antonio Spurs. They missed the playoffs for the first time since 1997 last year, which is crazy to me, right? So, and you know, for the younger listeners, that's when this guy Tim Duncan out of Wake Forest came up there.
They had that same team that whole run, though. You know what I mean? Like they had essentially the same group of guys.
Well, they had the same core three, right? So Parker, Ginobili, and Duncan, right? So it really didn't matter who they put around them.
Kawhi was a stopgap in there a little bit, but I think that once those guys went away, we kind of knew the Spurs were going to be in for a pretty serious rebuild, and a pretty serious rebuild for a team that's, you know, we talk about this with the New England Patriots and the NFL all the time, a pretty serious rebuild for a team that have been perennial winners. They're not going to have a lot of trade exceptions. They're not going to have a lot of cap space, and they're not going to have a lot of draft picks ready. So it might take a few years for them. Right. So, you know.
Yeah. I like what they did in the draft too. They got Devin Vassell out of Florida State. You know, Leonard Hamilton has a pretty good program down there. Trey Jones from Duke. was a good pick in the second round. So, they got some pieces. Lonnie Walker out of Miami. They
like
got
him
a few years ago.
Yeah,
I like him too. I hate that he cut his hair though. I'm like, dude, you got to keep it long hair. But
that's where the power is. Don't lose your powers.
Right,
that
exactly.
Spurs roster, Ray, is good. Like it's not a bad roster.
No, it's not. But they got to be healthy.
Do you think DeRozan? Do you think DeRozan makes it the whole season there?
That's what it.
It's. I mean, but I don't know if you have it in front of you, Joe. I don't know his salary numbers for this year. I know he's in the last year of his deal, but I think that he I think if they're going to get something back, I think they need to move him by the trade deadline, which would be, I guess, March or April now this year.
It's a little strange with the Spurs too, right? Because they had that core for so long and they moved some pieces in around them, but they're not big traders. You know what I mean? They don't get on the trading floor like a ton. Yeah, they were involved in that DeRozan deal, stuff like that. And Kawhi became like a talking point, but I don't think Popovich is the kind of guy that goes and splashes big moves on blockbuster players and then goes and tries to limit them.
Not his style. Nope.
Not his style at all.
Free agency.
Yeah, and I think he also improves players that a lot of other teams or coaches couldn't improve, And I'm worried a little bit that the NBA, the way that the NBA is moving, is going to leave Popovich behind in that scenario.
Oh, they already have.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. We talked about that in the NFL, right? We talked about what the 49ers were pre-salary cap, pre-free agency before 1993, and what the Patriots were after that. Popovich is very much like a Bill Belichick of the NBA. So
for sure,
that's really the biggest piece. Where you look at that team and say, all right, they have Pop, they still have a chance at the playoffs, but it's just like us with the Patriots this year, right? Like, let's not hold our breath because it's still going to be a good team because of Pop, DeMar DeRozan, all these guys. And if they trade DeRozan and he can bring in some pieces, then maybe we can change our minds and we can put them into those bubble teams or into the playoffs, but it's not going to be very high.
Yeah, I completely agree. So yeah.
Those are the bad teams of the West. I think it's not much to argue with me on there. Is there any extreme criticism from the East team for those stinky West teams, or do you want to go on to your guys' selections?
I mean, I actually agree. I think that the Thunder are probably going to be tanking for the number one overall pick. I just don't think that there's any talent on that team, and I also think that having a shorter season probably helps the Spurs get more wins. So I don't think they might not be as bad as you think they're going to be because they have a great head coach.
Again, they still have Popovich.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead, Bobby.
Sacramento has more upside than you guys are giving them credit for, but again, I don't think it would be crazy if they finished that low.
Right.
So I don't disagree. I think they have more upside. I think they could finish higher. But again, that's not, you know what I mean? That's maybe. So
if there's a team to be wrong about, it's them. If there was a team that I would want to be wrong about in the West, it's any San Antonio team because it's a small market. We like to see small markets succeed for the most part. We like to see Greg Popovich succeed. So that would be the team I would want to be like, all right, good. I'm glad we were wrong on that one.
Can I be honest for a moment? Like the only reason why I kind of crap on San Antonio, like, listen, I wanted Marvin Bagley in Boston badly. Like I was like, look, man, like this dude, 6'11", can pass it, can shoot. I was like, listen, man, like if we could get Brown, Tatum, and Bagley in 3 consecutive years, I'm like, let it happen.
I don't even want to think about that.
I know. So I'm like, you know what? So I'm a little salty about that we didn't get him to come here. So that'd have been dope, but it's all good. So that's why they're going to finish 13th. You heard it here first.
just to put a bookend on your comment about DeRozan's contract, he is in the last year. He's making 27.7 this year.
Ooh, so
that's an expiring deal right there. That's the deal.
Okay, so that makes it easier to move then. So, but that's a lot.
Yeah, a little bit easier than I thought. Yeah, all right, so to the Eastern Conference, tell me in the many teams you honestly in the East, in the bottom 5, you have to choose from who's going to be the worst. Tell me who's going to be the worst and who's going to be 12 through 14. Go ahead, Mike.
I'm actually because I'm so magnanimous and generous, and I know my strengths. Bobby's going to lead us through the basement of the Eastern Conference from 15 to 12.
So in the basement, to me, and I don't think there's any doubt about this, that's the New York Knicks. They're in the basement. They're not climbing out anytime soon. I love the moves they made this year. I love bringing in Odie. I love RJ Barrett. I love Thibodeau, but I just don't think that this team has. And I think they finally have accepted their identity of we need to be in the basement and actually try and draft and work our way out of here rather than waiting for that big free agent.
Rather than the plan of having no plan.
Right, exactly.
Which is what they've done for the last few seasons.
It does feel like they are on that track, but again, they still suck. So they're 15. 14, I think this would be a surprise to some. I think the Hornets are going to be absolute garbage this year.
Oof.
I think the Gordon Hayward contract to me is just an abomination. He's already hurt. You have a Terry Rozier contract, an abomination. You have Ball, he's going to be good.
Can I just say,
I think the Hornets are going to be garbage this year.
Can I just say,
14.
I hate to interrupt your flow, but I've been down on Ball, and my whole Instagram is just preseason Ball highlights right now. Like, the dude is legit. He's a problem. I know, but it's like
did Carson Edwards drop eight 3-pointers in the preseason?
Dude, he's doing stuff. He's doing stuff that's like I did not know he had in his locker. He's making passes that 6 and 7 year veterans need to be making. Like, the guy's legitimately good. I would be shocked if he doesn't have if he's not the rookie of the year. I would be shocked if he's not.
Yeah, well, he might be, but I think that they're still going to be in 14th. I mean, I don't think they're any better. I mean, because Hayward's not.
I think that elevate personally. I'm not on your team, because you guys don't want me on your team anymore. But I think that elevates them again above teams like the Pistons and the Bulls. They don't have anybody like that. But that's just me. It's your prediction, so go for it.
I just think that Gordon Hayward contract to me is just it sticks out to me.
He is hurt again,
right? He's already hurt. It's like, guys, what were you expecting? You know what I mean? It's like, dude, what are you doing? So that's why they're 14 to me. I also agree with you on the Ball thing. I was not high on him coming into the draft. I watched his tape from overseas, and it did not impress me at all. But this preseason, he's looks like something else, man. 13 is the Cavs. Again, dumpster fire. Andre Drummond. Andre Drummond. Andre Drummond and Kevin Love aren't going to take you to that next stop. I get that they're both serviceable big men, but if all your team is built around is Colin Sexton and serviceable big men, you're in trouble. Chicago Bulls, all they have is Zach LaVine. That's it. The Bulls are garbage. I don't even have anything else to say about Bulls. Bulls are garbage.
Well, so I don't disagree with the 4 teams. I think all those teams are the worst teams in the East for sure. I disagree. Wait, who did you have at number 12? Sorry, let me say that one because
Bulls.
I know you just said
Bulls.
The Bulls. Okay, so the Bulls. So Kobe White was pretty good for them last year. I think he averaged like 13 and 5. So
I meant Kobe White. My bad. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Well, no. No. Zach LaVine is also a problem too. So I mean, you were correct with that one. But I think that it's bad. I mean, even though Charlotte historically has been awful, like I really like Devontae Graham, man. Like I think he is someone that gets buckets. Like I remember last year, the 8 threes he had in the Garden. I mean, the crowd was buzzing for him. They had an opposing player. I mean, they had an opposing player had them going crazy. So I just feel like he's someone that needs to eventually start starting over Terry Rozier. Sorry, Scary Terry, but I mean, you're not as good as you thought that you were going to be coming out of Louisville. You've had some decent moments for sure. Don't get me wrong, but
not as good as 4 years for $70 million.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But it's like Devontae Graham, man, that dude is, to me, he's going to be special. Right. And I mean, honestly, and this is where, like, I mean, I don't think they would make the playoffs, but it's like, if Hayward was to be healthy, and we keep saying if because it's the biggest if that's been since 2017.
Thankfully, we don't have to worry about that anymore.
Exactly. Correct. I just feel like he's someone they could be on that bubble, maybe 8th, 7th AC, maybe. And I'm sure you're going to talk about Orlando being a bubble or AC, sooner or later. But I mean, far as like the teams like the end of next year, they're definitely heading in the right direction with who they drafted this year. When you draft Obi Toppin, when you draft a guy that I wanted the Celtics to get, Daniel Oturu, who was he's a center from Minnesota. They had a really good draft.
Also, they have an outlandish amount of cap space going into next.
Yes,
offseason.
they did. Correct. Yeah,
correct. They're going to do something big next offseason, or else they're.
Well, I mean, so that's what they always think, though.
So yeah. I have one question. Who did you guys have 15th?
We had the New York Knickerbockers.
All right, so I had to use the little boys' room for that one, so I missed that one. However, I honestly believe that the Charlotte Hornets are too high. And the reason why I think they're too high at 14 is because as much as Kyrie Irving lives in my head, so does the Ball family. Because until I'm proven otherwise, all three of those kids are fraudulent until they do something in the NBA.
I mean, he could be a great player, but that doesn't mean that they're going to do anything. I think 14 is probably their ceiling right now, especially if Gordon Hayward is not healthy. Because it would mean that he would have to be healthy and then be an all-star, and then all of their depth and bench players actually perform pretty well to even have a shot at the 8th seed. That's not going to happen. He's not healthy, which is why they're just better than the Knicks by a little bit. That's it.
I'm higher on both the Knicks and the Hornets than you guys, but my opinion doesn't matter here. So I guess we'll see as we go in. Going back to
didn't put yourself on a team. I don't understand where this is.
Yeah, he keeps saying it. He keeps saying we kicked him off the team. We kicked himself off.
Oh, it's a lot of subtle shots. It's okay.
Just creating a narrative.
I see you.
Just creating a narrative, guys. Like, try to keep up. Don't break down the whole fucking fourth wall here. Okay?
Yeah, K-Fed.
Jesus,
where's Depp?
You're not supposed to say it while we're in the ring. Okay.
I feel attacked.
Call in the ring. Call in the ring, Mike.
So the bubble teams for the Western Conference. Tell me why you guys have the teams that you have that might be good, might be bad, but aren't probably going to end up mattering. Go.
Okay, so from 11 to 9, so 11 we have Portland. So Joe, I'll ask you, what do you? Are you a fan of Damian Lillard? Like, do you think he's a good player? Like, do you think you consider him like a good leader? Like, how do you think his career has gone so far in Portland?
I like Damian Lillard. I think their biggest issue in Portland is Carmelo Anthony. That's the biggest issue in Portland because he's been an issue everywhere he's been. Good player, good shooter, right? Like, we know Carmelo can play. He always has been able to play, but I think he's a problem. I like the Enes Kanter signing in Portland. That one I really do like. Damian Lillard, I think is a good piece there in Portland. I think you're right on, or we're right on putting them at number 11, just for the simple fact that I don't think they're going to be bad with the roster that they've put together in the Pacific Northwest. But they're nothing to write home about, at least not yet.
So Ray, let me ask you something.
Okay,
let me ask you something. Are you about to insinuate that you're saying the Portland Trailblazers are going to be the 11th seed in the West?
So,
I don't think Dame can be the best player on a team that wins a championship. But
I know we know how you guys feel about point guards, but no, I'm not basing it off of.
Mostly Mike.
Yeah, I know, but it was
my take originally, just for the record.
Right, I know. Narrative.
But since he's not on a team, his opinion doesn't matter.
Right. No, it's really not about Dame is why I picked him 11th. I think that Yusuf Nurkic has been their big man the last few seasons. He's really been the guy that made them go. So when they went to the conference finals a few years ago and got swept against Golden State, he really was a guy that really manned the middle and really just gave them another option, right? So what you're going to get out of McCollum and Lillard, right? Because they're going to score, they're going to get buckets when it matters. That's just how they are. But Nurkic was that defensive presence. He was the guy that's going to get you an automatic double-double. So I just feel that if they're not at full strength, they're still going to struggle like how they struggled last year because they just got into the playoffs last year. They were
by a game, one game, yeah.
Right, you know what I'm saying? So I just don't see them really being that much. That's like, if everyone comes together, then who knows? Maybe they jump into a top 8 or top 6. But I think just right now, how it's currently constructed, and like Joe alluded to, right? Melo hasn't always been that cancer, but he has moments when he can be, right. And because
I think he's been buying in Portland of all places.
Well, guess what? Because he has to. He has to now, right? And then I'll go back to
braided Melo now. Come on,
guys. I know I've seen that. That's dope. But I'll let Joe.
Hoodie Melo's still my favorite one. Hoodie Melo's still my favorite.
Me too. But I'll let
he doesn't miss
because we didn't touch on this. But do you think Melo accepts a role off the bench this year?
Yes.
I think he has to. I mean, he's in Portland,
and it's because he has to.
Yeah, but I think you're absolutely right that he's buying in because he's also not in a big market anymore, right? Like he's not the guy, and he's not expected to be. And I feel like if a lot of other professional athletes in any sport accepted that role when they're a good piece on a team, we can talk about this when we get to it. But Marcus Smart is kind of one of those guys. Like, just accept what your role is. and everything will fall into place. I feel like if Melo was just that guy, like obviously he was a dude coming out of Syracuse, like he was the guy right, like that's who he was at that point in his career, and that fell off after a few years, and now he's at this point which if he can buy in and Portland can play well, I mean, I don't think anybody's getting past a few teams in the West, definitely not Portland, but I mean they can at least do something with him if he's a role player and shuts up and plays. So
right, exactly. And that's all that we mean. It's nothing more, nothing less. So don't take it wrong, y'all.
They have the smallest roster. They have the smallest roster in the NBA. The Portland Trailblazers.
But that's why I'm saying about Nurkic, like he has to be out there because he's 7'1". He's gonna get the double doubles. Like he's gonna play really good defense. So that's the guy they really need. And then they lost Hassan Whiteside in the offseason because he went back to Sacramento. So
they brought in a pretty good piece to replace him. Though.
Derek
Jones is pretty good.
Yes, he is. Yeah, I forgot that he signed over there for the.
Are you down on Robert Covington too? Like I'm pretty sure like he's gonna make their defense that much better.
Yeah, so. Oh, you know what? That's a good look. I forgot about Covington going up there because I forgot he got dealt a few times in the offseason.
Well, you can't change it now. We're already locked in live.
No.
Tell me
right.
about your 10 and your 9.
Right. So yeah, good. So good save there, Dave. Because I was going to go in a rabbit hole. But so 10, we had the New Orleans Pelicans, and then at 9 was the Houston Rockets, and that's probably going to be the shock of the list, maybe. But the reason why I had we had Pelicans at 10, obviously Zion is the big attraction. I think the NBA is looking to market him to be what LeBron has been. Because he's on every national television game. He's done some commercials.
Yeah, but he's not the player LeBron is. But yeah.
Right, but no, I'm saying, but just physically, we haven't seen something like that since LeBron James. If we're being honest, he just has to be in shape. And I think if I am Zion, I'm calling LeBron and saying, "Hey, you've done this for 18 years. How can
I paid $1 million a year to a nutritionist and a physical trainer. Do you have that?
Right, right, exactly. But I'm saying, if you want to get that type of money, if you want to be the marquee guy, the people that the guy that fans come to see, then he needs to make that phone call. It's just that plain and simple.
That's just a tough spot for him to be in. One, when he was playing in a market like New Orleans, and two, when there are guys like LeBron and Giannis and Kyrie and KD, like it's just that's not an easy spot for him to get into, and it's not. He's not going
to play any years after his rookie contract in New Orleans. I can personally guarantee that.
Yeah, but we also debated about that with Giannis too, and he chose to stay. So it can happen. Milwaukee
chose wrong.
It's a small market. It's a small market.
But you 228 million reasons to stay.
Giannis is a different dude than Zion, though.
Yeah, and it probably goes a long way in Wisconsin.
Wait. He's 20 years old, Bob. We don't know what he is yet.
Well, actually, that's a fact.
we also do know a little bit.
Idea who this dude is yet. Yeah,
because we've talked about it, and we can all agree, and we all did agree. So let's agree outwardly on our live Sunday night sports wrap here that players that come from Europe, the very good ones, are a different breed than the guys that are from Giannis isn't a dude that's going to go out and is going to be like, hey, I want to be the face. I got to make this money. And I don't think that Zion is either, but I think Zion's more that guy. I think what you just said is if they can make him the marquee guy, which I just don't think he is right now, but they eventually could make him that guy. He wants to be that guy. I don't think Giannis does. I think Giannis wants to win championships and make his money and play basketball.
Right, and just chill. Right. Yeah, no, I feel you. So no, that's valid. So, we can leave it at that for New Orleans. But then for Houston, really it just banks on what James Harden is going to do, what they're going to do with them, right? So right, but that's what I'm saying though. So if he
leaves, they're right though. It's not a surprise to put him there because if he leaves or he stays as fat as he is, neither of those, they're not going to win as many games.
I'm not mad about the honey buns, okay? So I'm not mad about that. So let's just be honest about that. I'm not mad about the honey buns, but I do think
into Vin Baker overnight.
what a name drop there, right? Shout out to Vin. But I just think that I like the Christian Wood signing for Houston. That's someone I thought that could be a replacement here in Boston. Especially for the money he ended up getting, they gave the same money to him that we got for Tristan Thompson. So, no, that's not true. He got $41 million. Never mind. We were going to pay him $14 million. Never mind. Sorry, but he is a pretty good talent. But, when you have a new coach, it's always hard to kind of establish that culture right away, unless you have a top-tier player. Now they do because Harden's there, but like you said, he's made it clear that he doesn't want to be there. I thought it was so funny that when Ramona Shelburne and Woj reported the moves of John Wall and and Jamarcus Cousins there just didn't move him, and I just bust out laughing. I'm just like, well, damn, way to throw your new teammates under the bus, but. Right. I don't know how you feel about Cousins and Wall, Joe. I'm not a fan of. Well, I'm a fan of Boogie Cousins, but I am not a fan of John Wall.
When John Wall's healthy, he's prolifically good.
John Wall is my Kyrie, Joe. I can't stand him.
I disagree.
He throws up all these gang signs, but this is the gang sign he needs to throw up because he's been losing. So how about that?
I thought it was funny when he popped up on the table when they won a game 6 when we had
right exactly. I'm like,
champions don't they don't celebrate like that when they win a game 6.
We got this win. We got this. We're wearing all black at the funeral.
We won that series, didn't we?
I was at game 7.
That was a lot of guys that came out of that era of drafts that had that attitude similar to John Wall. I feel like it was just they thought they were something before they were something, and I agree. Like good basketball players, right? But that organization down there, especially with Harden, and then bringing these two guys, like that has the ability to be really good or an absolute dumpster fire. And if they don't move James Harden, I think it goes towards the dumpster fire end of the spectrum real fast, and they finish lower than that 9 spot.
You think they'll be worse if Harden stays? I mean, I think that's a valid take.
I think they'll be worse in the. Well, I think they'll be worse in the standings if he leaves, just because of the player, the overall player that he is, right? Like I've never felt the same way about James Harden as I do about Kyrie, because he's not as outward about it, but they're both really good players and very good talents. And you have to recognize that. Like if James Harden is on the floor, that team has a chance to win. And it's been like that. It's been like that most of his career, Mike. And I know you're
one of those two is a champion, and it's not James Harden.
No, you're absolutely right. And if James Harden is on that team in Cleveland in the same situation Kyrie is, they probably don't win that championship. Like, you know what I mean? Like
point being that Harden's going to move on. We don't know where he's going to go. And, as much as I like James Harden as an offensive player, we can't make this a James Harden show because it's just too much NBA Twitter drama. So we have to move on. I do take your point though, Joe. I don't think you're wrong about that. We're going to move over to the East, and Bobby, tell me about your bubble teams.
All right. So bubble teams, we have, in my opinion, a lot of people have this team at the bottom. I don't think that they are going to be as bad as everyone thinks they're going to be, and that's the Detroit Pistons. I actually don't hate the Detroit Pistons again. I think that they have a couple of veterans who have a lot to prove. Again, I don't think they're going to be good, but I think Blake Griffin and Derrick Rose can lead this team into that bubble area. And I think that they do have something moving forward with them. Other than them, they don't have much. I like Troy Weaver. I like Jeremy Grant, and also Killian Hayes coming in. He's a great addition. But I think that they have a chance to get on that bubble line. I really do.
If Blake Griffin goes back to his 24.5, 7.5, and 5-4 stat line from like 2018, 2019, and Derrick Rose stays healthy and plays as well, this team could make us look bad. I mean, because there's enough there. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think 11 is probably a pretty good place for them.
Killian Hayes is good. He's really good. He's gonna be.
They might be served by a 72-game season more than some of the other teams on your bubble, considering the injury prone veterans they have on their team. But yeah, I think that's fair enough. Who's 10?
10. We have the Magic. I don't hate the Magic. I just don't see them being better than the teams that we have above them. I like Cole Anthony, the rookie they brought in. I really like Aaron Gordon. I've always liked him. I know he's underperformed, but I think he's just an athletic freak. If he could just develop a jump shot, man, it would be all over with him. And I think Markelle Fultz, I think we'll actually see something out of him this year.
Do you?
I do. I think that this is
based on what?
He wasn't bad last year. When he had the whole year in that system, he actually had he wasn't what he was supposed to be. Thank God we traded that first pick back in the day.
You could feel it though. You could feel it when it was happening. You were like, I don't think I want him. Like there was something weird about it. Yeah.
Agreed. But I think that we're never going to see him get to that superstar status, but I think he could fall into that range of like an Eric Gordon type player, like someone like that who's like right in that middle range. And I think that's why I do have them right at 10. And then
I also think that, like, unlike the Detroit Pistons, like where they could actually go and make a run into the playoffs, like 10 is the highest probable spot for the Magic. I think that they have not done anything major to replace Jonathan Isaac. And until they do that, right, he's this team he was a borderline defensive player of the year last year before going down with an injury, and there's no real replacement that they've made for him. So I think that 10 is probably their best. Bobby, are you still there? Should I go on with number 9?
No, I'm here. Yeah, no, I was. Oh wait, did my camera go off again?
Yeah,
we gotta fix that, Bobby.
My God.
Can I just say real quick while during that segment there with the Markelle Fultz pick and the trade of that pick by Boston, as much as we rip apart Danny for some of the things that he does and has done in the very recent past, that was such a good move.
When he has a dodge move, he does well. Yeah, because it was kind of an if at that point, right? Like everybody was like, "Oh, Markelle Fultz," but Ray was never super high on Markelle Fultz. So now you like, I'm going to take Ray's opinion on a guy over a lot of other people because Encyclopedia Raytanica, as I said earlier. But it made so much sense, and it was such a good move. It just speaks to Danny's ability. But Bobby and I actually battled over the number 9 pick. Like this was a text exchange that has lasted for 24 hours.
Yeah.
So what we ended up going with, again, because I'm just going to defer to Bobby, is number 9 is the Washington Wizards, and it's because I think even with Russell Westbrook going to that team, we think more of the 8th seed than we do of the 9th seed. And Bobby can give you a little bit more in depth and analysis on the Wizards.
So I just think with the Wizards, obviously when you saw Wall and Beal together, they were special. It's just a matter of how Westbrook and Beal play off of each other. If Westbrook can take the heat and actually become Russell Westbrook that we saw in Oklahoma City, where he's putting up triple doubles every single night and Beal's putting up 30 and Bertans is sitting there waiting for those open threes, yes, this team can absolutely make some noise. But I don't see that happening. I think Russell Westbrook right now is trashed. He's washed. And I don't think Russell Westbrook is the answer for a team to actually have a legitimate shot to make noise in a league and even possibly get into the playoffs. I don't see it happening.
I think that's I just can't believe you're so low on Russell Westbrook after getting thrown around a bunch of different teams. I get that, him playing is all out.
But why is he getting thrown around to all these teams?
Well, because of the style of point guard that he is can win you a championship, as I've always said. But also Bradley Beal. I love Bradley Beal. Like, how, if you're a basketball fan, how can you not love Bradley Beal?
I love Beal. I just think Westbrook was the wrong person for them to bring in there, man. I really do. I don't think he's the answer to that team.
I think that's a fair call because he hasn't been the answer anywhere he's gone. But
guys have left teams because of him.
Right. No.
Well,
right. Yeah. Right. Thank you, Joe. Right. Exactly. Facts. But anyways, no, I agree, Bobby. To an extent, but I don't think that Westbrook has to be MVP Westbrook, and that's the problem. Westbrook still thinks he has to be MVP Westbrook, and that's why the things have happened the way they've happened. Right. Bradley Beal's team. He's the younger guy. He's the guy that almost averaged 30 last year. That's the guy that should be getting the brunt of.
Will Westbrook let him be the guy?
He has to. If Washington is going to get to a point, he may not. But it's like I feel like for Washington to be the best version of themselves, as they always say now, it has to be Bill being that guy. 6'5" guy who runs off screens really well, can shoot it really well, plays defense really well, and actually is a pretty good playmaker himself. I'm very high on Davis Bertans. I wanted him to come to Boston also during the trade deadline last year because I'm like, well, if we're looking to get better shooters, this man shoots 42% from 3. Bring him to Boston. Like it to me is a no-brainer. But I guess they didn't want to do a rental for a guy that was going to get paid what he got paid, which was like $16 million a year. But I like Hachimura, the guy they got a couple of years ago in the draft. I like him.
Gonzaga.
From Gonzaga, right? And I just think that I like the Killian Hayes thing too. I told you, I think I said on the draft review show, I said that Detroit won the draft because they got Sadiq Bey and Isaiah Stewart from Washington. Sorry, I almost had a brain freeze there, from Washington. So I just think that I mean the spots are correct, but I do think that Washington is someone that can sneak up if those things come together.
Yeah.
But it's a major if.
All right. Well, it's time for the actually good teams, the teams that are excited to talk about. Let's go over to the Western Conference. We're going to switch the order a little bit here because I want to hear who you guys think are going to win the Western Conference. So let's do it like this. Ray, tell me your 1 through 8 before you go into any detailed analysis, and I'll decide what's interesting about that 1 through 8, and then we can talk about it.
Gotcha. Cool. So at 1, we had the Lakers.
No surprise
2,
there.
Right. At 2, yeah, right. At 2, we had the Clippers. At 3, this is probably the one you're going to ask me about. At 3, we had the Jazz. 4, the Denver Nuggets. 5, Dallas. 6, Phoenix. 7, Golden State. And 8, Memphis.
So I have 2 questions. One, Do you think that the Jazz are going to be good because their 2 centerpieces just got locked into contracts? They have a good foundation there. What is it that's going to jump through? What's different about them coming in 6th last year till now? Like, why have they gotten better?
So I think it's just strictly they're going to kill it in the regular season, right? Like, I just think that I don't see them going crazy in the playoffs. I just don't. But I think from a regular season standpoint, Donovan Mitchell is going to play hard. Joe Ingles is going to play hard. Royce O'Neal is going to play hard. Rudy Gobert is going to play hard. I didn't love that 5-year, $205 million extension.
I didn't either.
I just think that you're able to find other guys that can do it. Now he's a 2-time defensive player of the year, and those guys.
I think the locker room it's like us paying Smart. You know what I mean? It's like I wonder the intangibles.
Yeah, but he's also 7 feet tall, so it's a little different. You can't
yes.
teach. Wait, and Mike, and you can't teach that. Okay, so it's like you can't teach that. So so I just think that that's something where they'll gel because that core has kind of been together. Mike Conley, who's in the last year of his deal, I believe. Once again, I'll let Joe be my statistician on that one to see if he's in his last year. I forgot. But I think he's in his last year of the deal, Mike Conley. So I think he'll be motivated to do something there. He got a really big deal a few years ago for like $150 million. And, he hasn't really done much, just like Westbrook. He hasn't done much wherever he's been.
Looks like he hasn't fit with Spider. He doesn't look like he fits with him. That's my problem.
He should though. That's the problem. He should.
He should. Right. He should.
He's not the best shooter, but it's like someone that I feel like that Jazz team is better than the teams he had in Memphis. Just from a talent perspective, but that Memphis team just meshed together. Tony Allen, Zach Randolph, young Marc Gasol.
They did until they didn't. You know what I mean? It's
right. When you run into Golden State in the playoffs and OKC with Durant and Westbrook, that's what happens. But
they had that overrated, underrated thing happen to them, where it was underrated, overrated, where it was like, oh, I think Memphis might be better than we think. Like on paper, they play really well, and then it was like Memphis, and it's like, well, they're still not going to beat the Golden State Warriors. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Right. Correct.
Yeah, and it was a tough era for them to be in. Where did you have Golden State? Just out of curiosity.
I had Golden State at number 7. We had Golden State at number 7. So I was like, Joe, Curry was out for most of the year. So how do you think?
You're a little down on them.
I am, but I'm like, I want Joe to chime in though. Like, how do you think he does without Klay Thompson this year?
Well, I mean, just to have him back, that automatically is going to jump them at least 6 or 7 spots, right? Like they finished in 15th in the conference last year, and I think it just came down to this is a strange year. We don't have our best guy, so let's just let's ride it out and see what happens. And that's what they did, and that's going to be a tough conference for them to win in without Tristan Thompson. Klay Thompson. I had Celtics on the brain already. But to put him back in the lineup, you're going to see them get into the playoffs. I think 7's a good spot because down on them when you're talking about the Lakers, the Clippers, the Nuggets, and Dave, just to your point of why are the Jazz 3rd? The Nuggets were 3rd last year, and he has them down in 4th. Well, the Jazz are going to jump 3 spots because we have the Rockets and the Thunder outside the top 8, and they were in the top 8 last year.
So other teams around them are going to get worse, is what you're saying.
Other teams around them are going to get worse, but they're going to be pretty good. I mean, they're still going to be pretty good.
Watch out for Phoenix though too, because we didn't say anything about that. Maybe because you didn't find it interesting, which is okay. But Chris Paul going there is a really big deal. I like DeAndre Ayton, Devin Booker.
Devin Booker's a man.
Yeah, shout out to Drake. See the shots that took.
I do think
it's phenomenal.
I do think that the Phoenix Suns are a team to watch. Something about Chris Paul, and this might be a me thing, but something about Chris Paul being on a team makes me think they're never going to win.
Maybe it might be because get to the playoffs. That's all.
But then it's like he's not healthy, when you need him. So
Has Chris Paul ever had a big man like DeAndre Ayton?
No,
never. Right?
No,
he's never had that pick and roll, that lob city. That
Wait,
I said Lob City, and I was like, shit.
It comes from.
Wait. But he's no. Time out. Though DeAndre Ayton is better than DeAndre Jordan. Absolutely.
And better than
sure, but because of the way the NBA.
No, we're talking about center. We're not talking about a power forward. Talking about center.
No, but he did have Blake Griffin, but I think yes, he is better. But because of the way the NBA transitioned stylistically, left DeAndre Jordan behind a little bit, which is a little unfair.
Yeah, that's true. It's unfair, but it fits my narrative.
Saying Chris Paul, yes, and saying Chris Paul didn't have Lob City when he invented Lob City was hilarious. But I will say. I don't think the Phoenix Suns are going to be a factor come playoff time. But my other question is, regular season LA Clippers, you got them at number 2. You still think they're going to explode in the playoffs?
I don't actually. I do. I think
implode. I should say.
Yeah, implode, explode, whatever. But I think either way, I think they do find a way to right the ship. Not necessarily get to the finals, but I do think we'll see them in the conference finals against the
Paul
Lakers.
George claims he has a different attitude now.
Hell, you better. And they reinvested in your ass. You better figure it out. You better figure it out, Paul. Like it's just that it's not okay. Once again, you averaged 28-5 2 years ago. You're like, oh, I'm back with my trainer that I had my MVP season in, sir. You need to go back to the Indiana Paul George. Forget about OKC. Right. Indiana Paul George was a game away from going to the finals against LeBron and those Heat-led teams. That's the guy they need in LA. Not the guy that was running around with Russell Westbrook and having
that guy.
Big ass party. He said, "I'm coming back. I'm never leaving." And then 2 years later, your ass was gone. Don't worry about that. Be the guy that you was in Indiana, and I promise you, him and Kawhi can get to the conference finals.
You need the humble, the humble,
and the humble, but also he was prolific. He was a prolific one-on-one defender. He did all the simple stuff really right. And I think if he gets back to basics and he plays his game from the ground up and just starts to get the simple stuff right, passes the ball properly, get himself in that mindset going into the playoffs, and maybe he can take it through the playoff run because honestly, the Clippers are the only team I see on paper that could possibly beat the Lakers in the West if they achieve their potential. No surprise that you picked the Lakers number 1. I think LeBron's gonna have a chip on his shoulder about people putting an asterisk on his bubble win. I think I was going to do that with whoever won if it wasn't the Celtics. So that's just me.
Right. Facts. Right. But,
right. I think they're even better.
No asterisk if the Celtics won.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. What a tough ride. Yeah. Exactly.
They are better. They're even better.
LeBron than they were
doesn't look like he's slowing down, and they made a lot of really good offseason.
Trez, man, bringing him on Trez
upsets me how good they are.
Is he better than Ibaka though, Bobby?
Yes, I think he is. I think especially in that system. Moving back over to the East because we're officially running over now. The Eastern Conference.
I got this, Bobby.
I would like you to tell me, just like Ray did, your 1 through 8, and I'll pick out what's interesting from your calls, especially if you don't put the Celtics at number 1. We're gonna have problems. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Cool. Number 1 is the Bucks. Number 2 is the 76ers. Number 3 are the
Heat. Wow. Number 4, sorry.
Who is 3?
The Heat. Number 4, we have the Celtics. We have the Nets at the 5th seed, Raptors with the 6th seed, the Pacers at 7, and the Hawks at 8.
Wow.
What on earth tells you that the Philadelphia 76ers, and I'd like Bobby to answer this question, please.
No, because I don't fucking agree with it.
Jeez.
Okay.
Why are the Philadelphia 76ers at number 2? Why?
Wow.
Why? Tell me why.
So, I think
this is your Detroit Lions circa NBA.
No, obviously, I think that Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons are they just have a better rotation around them this year than they did last year. I think that Tobias Harris, Dwight Howard, Tyrese Maxey. But I think the most important thing for me, and Rayshawn, I want you to hear this: Doc Rivers will lead them to a very, very high win season. And then they will fucking lose in the first round of the playoffs because they're a Doc Rivers-led team. That's why.
Seed?
You had us at the start there. I'm not gonna lie.
Who had a 7? Who'd you have at 7?
There's a reason I let him do it.
Yep. Who'd you have at 7, Bobby? Who'd you guys have at 7?
Pacers. Oh, so it could happen. Okay. Indiana, they play extremely hard. To me, and I'm still in Bobby's point here. They can't stay fucking healthy. So they can't stay healthy.
Oh my God, that was such a good Bobby impression. I thought he was in a different box on the Zoom for a second.
But also, I think I do think
overnight. No, but
I do think that Danny
go ahead, Bobby.
That Danny Green and Seth Curry are great additions to this team. And I do think that Doc has a really good. I mean, historically, he does coach teams to a really, really good regular season record. He really does. He has trouble in the playoffs. Like I'm not going to do a hit job on him, but I do think that he will get the most out of these players in the 72 regular season.
So I agree that Danny Green and Seth Curry were the perfect additions to the Sixers team. They're exactly what they were missing these last 2 years. You need spot up 3-point shooters. Completely agree.
Right.
And I do think that Doc will take them to that next level. Because I don't even remember his name. Who was their coach last year? Brooks, right? I just think he was.
I forget who it was too, but that's
I can't
awful.
remember his name right now. Yeah, whatever.
Oh, Brett Brown.
Right. Thank you.
Brett Brown,
I think he was the worst coach maybe in the league. He just mismanaged that team from beginning to end. So I think that while 2, I think is
I'm
a little high. I do like the Sixers this year.
It's a brave call. Now, just to reiterate the rules of the NFL or the NBA prediction game, it's much like the other one. It's obviously not going to be 2 games within. It'll be 2 spots within. So they could come first and you'd still get the point, or they could come fourth and you'd still get the point. Which fourth seems
safe,
reasonable, and safe. So. I don't want to get on Mike too badly about that number 2 pick, especially since we just did discuss that we clowned on him this hard for the Detroit Lions, and the Detroit Lions still could potentially get us a point in our NFL predictions. So you had the Boston Celtics. High. You had the Boston Celtics at number 4. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct.
Okay, so explain to me your dumb and wrong reasoning for that. Please.
I think that we saw in the playoffs that the Heat are better. They just are better than the Celtics, and I think that. If it makes you feel any better, remember in Slack when I asked you, are we doing records? It's because I had the Heat at 44-28 and the Celtics at 44-28. I just assumed that the Heat would beat them in the regular season, so they would win. They would have the tiebreaker. So it wasn't a far leaps and bounds. I just think that I think that the Heat are better, and until we see. Maybe Tristan Thompson and Jeff Teague will shock me, but this needs to be the year that Tatum and Brown take another big leap to be great. And if that happens, then maybe they're number 3. But it's
Bobby, you're okay with this? You're signing off on this? The Celtics at number 4.
You saw my records.
I'm a team player.
No, I'm actually.
So I'm not.
I'm fine with number 4, honestly. But go ahead.
So I do think that the Celtics, again, we have that 2-spot leeway, so that's why I was okay with it, because I do see them as finishing 2. I told Mike this right before the show. I do think they are going to finish second in the conference behind the Bucks. That's just my opinion. But I think that Tatum and Brown do make that leap this year, and if it does end up the way we see it and we get that 4-5 Nets first-round matchup, man, that would be juicy and beautiful.
So you have the Nets at 5, then.
Yeah,
if there's fans back in the stands, there's not enough sage in the world that could keep Kyrie Irving's mind. Listen, I got to do
the Garden with Kyrie. My Lord,
I know we're 9 minutes over 8:00 here, but I have to jump on this because I actually think you guys have the Nets a spot too high, and it's fine where you have them because you get that 2 spots. They'll probably jump up 1 spot because that's going to be a very good basketball team, right? Like Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant they're world-class talents. There's no denying it. But they are going to lose games because those two either aren't going to get along, or Kyrie's not going to be on the floor, or he's not going to want to play somewhere because the fan base is in his head. Like, the best thing that's going to happen for the Nets is if there's no fans at all in the 2020-2021 season. That's going to be the best thing for Kyrie Irving and the Nets. And that's fine if that's the way it goes. But this guy, he needs to figure his stuff out. And Dave, you and I talked about it the other day, that like, hopefully this guy is okay, like legitimately okay mentally, because he's off his friggin' rocker.
He's nuts, man.
Otherwise, he's nuts. And I just can't see a team, and Mike, you and I have argued about this before. I cannot see a Kyrie Irving led team, which is what this Nets team is, right?
No. This is a Kevin Durant led
team.
You think this is a KD led team?
100%. He's the better player.
So do you think they could win a championship with a KD led team with Kyrie Irving on it, with Steve Nash as the head coach?
Yes. Well, for sure. There are a lot of variables to this. I do think that Steve Nash being the head coach, they need to get off to a couple of wins at first before Kyrie loses interest. But unlike Boston, like, this isn't a chance for Kyrie to come in and be the man. This is him doing what he did best in Cleveland, which is being the best complement player that there is out there with KD.
100% true.
And hitting the
I'll believe it when I see it.
You just hit the nail on the head, man.
No.
If you want to see it, you just have to go and watch.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that, but KD also isn't LeBron. So
he's better.
Well, he's not better.
Well,
and that'll do it for the Sunday night.
He's better he's
better offensive player.
He's better in a situation. It's better for Kyrie, is what I mean. He's a better shooter.
He's a better. You was trying to get a rise out of us that he was better.
No, I wasn't. I think that the point was that Mike just made was that Kyrie Irving is the best complement player to a scorer that you could possibly have in the NBA. Not even because he's the best passer, because he can take the scoring load off of a perennial scorer and playmaker type like LeBron James. I think that KD fits an even better mold than that. I think that having them at 5th is too low. I think to say that's high, to say to me, I think it feels like I'm taking crazy pills that you think that the Philadelphia 76ers are going to have a better record than the Brooklyn Nets this year. The Brooklyn Nets were the 7th seed last year. Hold on one second. The Brooklyn Nets were the 7th seed last year. They won 35 games in admittedly an 82 game season. And now they're adding a generational talent to their front court and a generational talent to their back court. And you're telling me they're only going to go up 2 spots? That's fucking absurd.
You've been huge on this generational talent thing.
But I do think that,
because they are.
I just mean in the NFL and the NBA.
I agree.
I do think that we're going to see a little bit of what we saw with the Heat the first year that Bosch, LeBron James, and Wade were there, where they were kind of like they were kind of middle of the road until like December or January, and then they hit a rocket ship. They just don't have that much runway this time. So I do think that they'll have 10 less games to win. So I think that's what.
But I'll add on to that, right? See, also too, because now everybody's they're so buddy, right? And to me, it's also a problem that they got DeAndre Jordan starting at center. Jared Allen needs to be the center for the Brooklyn Nets. He is phenomenal defensively. He jumps through the roof. If he gets near a basketball, it's going in the stands. Period. Now he may not be as gifted defensively as DeAndre Jordan was in his prime, but he's definitely better than him right now at age 32. So
but think about that. They're both on that roster. I mean, that they probably have the deepest roster probably in the NBA with which is why they don't
That's why they don't need to make that's why they should not.
Which is why they were the 7th seed last year.
Right, exactly.
Why they were the 7th seed last year when you add those 2 guys in.
Before.
Right. Yeah, when they were already a decent team.
But now they have Steve Nash. I think that they will go deep in the playoffs, but you're asking me for my seedings. And I think that I just don't think there's enough time for them to catch.
It's funny you say that, because I actually think they have a worse chance in the playoffs playing against certain matchups. Like, I'm not super nervous about how the Celtics match up against them because we have length on the wing. Maybe we can keep
but you weren't nervous
Kevin Durant a little bit.
Matchup.
I wasn't nervous about the Heat matchup, and I was completely wrong about that. But that doesn't mean I'm going to be wrong forever about everything.
I have a question for Mike. Mike, I have a question for you, and it pertains to the Nets mostly. But with those 2 guys in that team, right? That were the 2 of the best players in the world. They have a coach that has little to no coaching experience, right?
Yeah.
So we all have our feelings on coaching in the NBA. But do you feel that coaching, even that Brooklyn Nets team, do you feel that coaching is important?
Yeah, but I think that this reeks of Spoelstra in Miami with all those stars. I think that you could be on the verge of seeing a guy that has little to no coaching experience that we know about, and then that just develops with these huge talents and becomes a guy that can actually manage big ego, talented players and win championships. That's what
I agree with you, but do you know the only difference that the Nets don't have that Miami?
Pat Riley.
Right. Oh, go ahead, Dave.
I just think if you boil it down as simple as you possibly can, as far as coaching goes in the NBA comparatively to other sports, it just doesn't matter as much. And I think when you have guys like Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, you can pretty much just say to them, go out and play like Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. And I think that, Steve Nash knows the game of basketball. He can run plays, but it's his job to get the most out of everybody else there. That's not Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. And I think that that's probably the easiest job that any coach has going into this next NBA season. So
I think that's the caveat that you were just kind of alluding to, right, DK, though, is that the coaching it matters less in the NBA when you have those players, right? And once Spoelstra lost those players, we found out that he's actually a good coach. So I think as long as Nash can make sure that there's no like locker room brawls and there's no sage being spread at the Barclays Center, I think, like I said, the sage
helped. Did you see their games?
Sage did help.
He's such a clown. He's such a clown.
Okay, we've gone 15 minutes over. I feel like Craig's going to have a coronary.
Not our worst.
Can I make one more?
I'm going to go around and do final words. So you can put it in final words if you want to make that point. But I really appreciate everybody tuning in. Thank you guys for letting me host. I had a blast. We had so much fun here on the monthly 2-hour-long Sunday Night Sports Wrap. I am DK Sizzle Dave Clarke. For all the folks here, going to go around, do some final words. Bobby, I'll let you start because you were champing at the bit just there.
Okay, so my upstart team, the one I fought for to get into that top 8 in the NBA this year, is the Atlanta Hawks. I think the Atlanta Hawks are going to make some noise to get in this NBA season, and I think if they do get into that 8 seed with Rayshawn Rondo taking away the point guard position from Trae Young and letting Trae Young be Trae Young, we're going to see another level of him this year. And I think if they get in the playoffs, they actually have a legitimate shot to beat the Milwaukee Bucks in the first round of the playoffs. And if that happens, I want 2 bonus points.
Wow.
Big Hawks guy. Well, you're not going to get him. Yeah, Rayshawn Buchanan, go ahead.
First off, whoa. But it's funny. I'm actually going to touch on the 8th seed for me too. So the 8th seed, I talked about was the Memphis Grizzlies, and I am a big time Ja Morant supporter. I will keep talking about him in the Slack. I will talk about him online if I have to. Ja Morant to me is everything that I thought Russell Westbrook was going to be and more already. Yes, I'm extremely biased, but I'm a fan. And I just think that him and Jaren Jackson are the next duo that we have to look out for in the NBA that's young. So I'm excited to see what they do in Memphis. And I won't go as far as them beating the Lakers, but I would love to see Ja go against LeBron in the first round, just to see how he fares against the best competition.
Mike, Mark, or Angela, one of the three.
I think we're all going to speak at the same time, so just try and listen. But I think, 2020 has dealt us, a lot of different kind of cards, and it's been a pretty weird and some I would say catastrophic year. But for me, I know my final word is going to be like part of the light within the darkness of this year has been this, and has been you guys, and has been the thing that we all did 10 years ago, and that we restarted, and that we've turned into this, 1 hour weekly, 2 hour monthly, as Craig likes to say, show. And I am just very, very thankful for.
I've been told not to say that anymore.
Well, I said it. So I am thankful for this, for all of you, and for everyone that's kind of listening and sharing at home.
Aw, that was so nice. Joe Mouse.
Swerve, right?
I got a few for you. So unlike a lot of high profile, or at least a high profile person in this country that won't concede defeat when they have lost, I would like to formally concede. I would like to formally concede defeat to Craig in our fantasy football semifinal game in the playoffs, as I am now currently down 3 points. So Nick Chubb would have to lose 2 fumbles on 2 carries and not gain any yards for me to lose. So I concede defeat to you, Craig. So people, when you have lost, it's okay to concede defeat. We can't all win all the time. Not talking about anything specific, Dave. Secondly, Dave, I really liked your intros today. Instead of getting a state of the sizzle, we got a very well planned out intro, and the jokes were great. The jokes. One about Ray, the one about Ray. Well, I mean, Mike is clearly 4 people in a bodysuit, but you cut it down to 3. So, but the one I really liked was Rayshawn Buchanan's
Dangerous Mind
likeness to Michelle Pfeiffer, and I thought you were going to go a different direction, because while Michelle Pfeiffer is a very attractive woman, we all think Ray's a pretty attractive guy. Another guy I thought that was very attractive in the early 2000s was Mekhi Pfeiffer, who Ray really very much resembles. So I'll give Ray the Mekhi Pfeiffer look. And echoing Mike's sentiments, yeah, guys, I mean, I've loved this all year. So, you know, it's always been a resolution of mine, if you will, to start this back up with you guys, because it's so much fun. And it's amazing that it really started as a conversation between Bobby and Ray in the summer. And we said, hey, let's get back into this and do this once or twice. And look what we've made out of it. So, yeah, for all of you that have you know, made it through 2020, there is light at the end of the tunnel. At some point it will come and we will be back to normal. But this is part of my normalcy now. You guys are awesome. And I'm glad we got to do this. So that's where I'm going to leave it.
Well said. Well said. I think as a gift to Craig, I'm going to skip him on last words because he desperately wants this to be over. And
I do just have one little thing though.
Okay. Yeah. Please do.
Okay.
Yeah. First of all, I'm quitting.
Yeah.
Second of all,
that's the end of our show.
Right.
It would be. Just a little behind the scenes for everyone at home. This will be the last you hear from us live for about 2.5 weeks, as we will have our Abby Chin interview out this upcoming Tuesday on the 22nd, and the week after that we will hear from the great Trendy Kazaneric. So.
All right. Well, I think that'll do it. We went a little bit over, but I really appreciate everybody sticking it out. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for listening. This has been the Sunday Night Sports Wrap, coming at you once a month. Don't forget to tune in next time we do it. Yeah, there's no movie. There's no Mekhi Pfeiffer, but that's it for me. DK Sizzle, Dave Clarke, for The Real BK, Bob Kelly, Broadway Joe Malkin, Craig D'Alessandro, the best producer in the game, Rayshawn, Hollywood Wale, Buchanan, and Mike, Mark, and Angelo. I bid you good night.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Missing the Point. Missing the Point is a 1-hour podcast recapping the biggest stories in the world of sports with a New England flavor. The show notes and transcript from today's episode can be found in the description box below, as well as on our website, www.mtpshow.com. If you're new to the show and enjoyed what you heard, please consider subscribing. It's the easiest way to see when we publish new episodes. We are on iTunes, Spotify, Google, and wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to rate us and leave a review of any of our shows. We always appreciate your feedback. Also, be sure to follow us on all of our social medias. All of our links will be in the show notes. And check out our brand new website, www.mtpshow.com. That's mtpshow.com. For all of us here at Missing the Point, I'm Craig D'Alessandro. We'll talk to you next time.
Hey, what's happening out there, everybody? This is Lawrence Ross, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about my podcast, The Lawrence Ross Show.
Egomaniac.
It's a 2-hour weekly exploration into my mind. I also do sketches, celebrity impersonations.
You're out of order!
And I also do song parodies. Not too shabby for a blind guy.
Not only are you visually impaired, but you are geographically impaired.
New episodes are released every Friday. Check it out on your favorite podcasting platform or listen to it here on Society 13 on Electrocast.
Welcome, explorers of the human experience. This is Let's Talk Soul, and I'm your host, Claudia Monticelli. We're not afraid of the great mysteries of existence here. Soul versus consciousness, we're on it. Spirituality versus science, we've got that covered too. Join us in navigating these profound topics with wisdom, curiosity, and a dash of audacity. Whether you're a spiritual veteran or just starting your journey, Let's Talk Soul is your passport to the unknown. Let's Talk Soul, diving into the depths of the human spirit. Subscribe now wherever you get your podcasts.
Electrocast.